welcome to a special segment of Health Talks. Back in September, we shot our pilot and we had 7 segments. Now, we have to say the response has been amazing, and so we've decided to keep on going a little bit longer. We're going to bring to you another few segments before we break for the holidays. We've been asked by the Wellness Guys, who you may or may not have heard of, to join them tonight for their weekly podcast. They have a website that they run these from every week, and they get together just like we do to bring wellness information to their followers. Now, there's 3 of them and there's 3 of us because Sam can't join us tonight, and so that should work quite nicely. But I want to tell you a little bit about them before we do that. They're all chiropractors. They also have other things that they do. Damien has a television show and he's also a naturopath. Brett is an author and Lawrence is a keynote speaker. They all have a lot to bring to you tonight. Now, obviously what they do is a podcast, and what we do is a video clip that you see each week. So it will be a little bit different what you see tonight. And I must admit, I'm not great with the technical side of things at all, so I'm leaving that up to our tech guy tonight, but what I do know is that it's going to be really interesting.
Welcome to the Wellness Guys Show with wellness experts Dr. Lawrence Tam, Dr. Damien Christoph, and Dr. Brett Hill.
Welcome to the Wellness Guys. I'm Dr. Lawrence Tam.
I'm Dr. Damien Christoph.
And I'm Dr. Brett Hill.
And this is the Wellness Guys Show, a weekly show dedicated to bringing wellness into our lives. And today, it's going to be a Wellness Guys first. We have met our match in today's episode. We have actually 6 callers on today's call. And more importantly, it's 3 boys versus 3 girls. So welcome from the Healthtalks TV. Ladies, you guys are all experts in wellness. Would you like to, let's start off with Nat to introduce your group and tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Sure. Well, thank you firstly for having us, guys. We're really excited about this. But basically, Health Talks TV came about. Our executive producer approached me and said, you know, what you do is unique. You share information, you put it up on Facebook, you put it up on your blog, and all these people like it and they talk about it. And how can we produce something that can go out to everybody? And so that's what we've done. We've gone with that idea and wanted to make it visual and something that everyone can access. So, you know, it's on YouTube for anyone to go and watch at any time.
Well, I must admit, we've got a bit of envy from our end because you guys obviously got the video and we're just audio here. So that's pretty cool. How did the 4 of you get together originally?
At that same time when we were thinking about how that might come together, I had these 3 girls spring to mind, and they were the only three that I asked, and the only 3 that said yes, obviously. It just evolved from there. I just asked them, and they were really excited by it as well. It was something that they thought would be really good, and so that's it was very easy. It just went from there.
I've watched a couple of the episodes. I watched with bated breath, watching about the coffee enema. I was expecting to see all kinds of things. I just wasn't sure what was going to happen with that one. But and I've thoroughly enjoyed the ones that I've watched so far. I think that they're excellent, and I must say to all of our listeners, it's definitely worth watching because the girls are very easy on the eye, and not only do they know a lot of stuff, but it's very much like it's exercise for the eyes too. So you should not only listen but watch it because there's great information. It's really, really good stuff there. And what I've noticed about it is it's so well produced. It's just an excellent thing. So well done, girls.
Thank you.
I've just read a new book that Nat's just written, which I think is excellent, and she's been part of writing with another health expert here in Melbourne, and it's great, and it talks all about the benefits of fat. And for years, traditionally, women have watched how much fat they've eaten. They've been on low-fat diets and they've done all kinds of crazy diets. But, of course, there's massive amounts of health implications if you do take fat out of your diet. And obviously, Nat, that's one of the things that you're very passionate about. Mel and Jess, do you feel the same way about fat as what Nat does?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's something that almost every single one of my clients has a phobia of. They're completely scared of it. And even things like avocados and almonds and coconut oil, they just have this massive fear. And, they're realizing that their whole hormonal system is out of balance. And because they've kind of stripped this important element out of their diet. So, I think lots of people kind of take it out and don't really know why, and they just kind of do it because everyone else is doing it.
And it's not even that. It's not even their fault necessarily, because we've been educated, or we've been on this, push for low fat for a really long time. And, people don't actually understand. And when you ask them or you tell them, they still, for a period of time, don't believe you until they go away and start to do it. I think Jess is a good one to comment on this as well, because Jess, is vegan for she can tell you why. Why, Jess?
I'm vegan mostly because I was diagnosed with cancer a few years ago. And as part of my healing regime, I realized that cancer thrives on animal protein. And so that's the number one reason why I became vegan. And also because plants are just freaking amazing. So I have to eat as many of them as possible. And there's not enough room on my plate for animals when I eat this many plants. But I also need to bring it back with the fat. People take it out. But the thing is that when you take fat out of something and you're buying a product that is low fat or no fat, people don't realize that usually means that it's a chemical, I don't know if I can swear on this program, shitstorm. Or
go for it.
That it's usually full of chemicals because it's been stripped of the fat, and without the fat it needs chemicals in its place, usually to make it taste better, to make it filling, and to make it food again.
Well, look, I think we all agree with that, and certainly the more processed something is, the further away it gets from being actually real food and beneficial for people. So I think all of us agree that the fresher the better. But how about we move from the food side of things and talk about some of the health things that you girls are seeing, that girls are dealing with at the moment. What are the girls dealing with right now?
Well, from a clinical perspective, I'm a natural fertility specialist, so I see all sorts of hormone imbalance and, women with crazy menstrual cycles or lack of menstrual cycles, women on IVF. So all of these things, for me, scream, help me. And that's the major thing that I see in the clinic. And I think there was an episode where Mel spoke about, helping women to fall in love with themselves again.
Absolutely. And it's the stress levels as well. Like, you can be eating all the broccoli in the world, but if you're highly stressed, it doesn't balance out. You need to be making sure that you're calming your mind and you're grounded and you're really in your body and you're loving the body that you're in, If you're beating yourself up all of the time, of course you're going to create disease in the body and illnesses and stuff like that. So, I see a lot of stressed women and a lot of women that just absolutely hate themselves. And it's sad, but, once they start falling back in love with themselves, and it sounds so simple, but you would be surprised. But once they start doing that, the most amazing shifts happen. Like, women have lost 10 kilos, 15 kilos just by accepting the skin that they're in.
Nice.
Mel, just going to question on that too as well. I mean, a lot of women out there might be saying, well, I don't have the time. I have so much time committed with my family, my kids, my husband, blah, 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 blah. So what do you say to that? Like, where would someone start?
We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and it's about, making your health and your life a priority. And for some people, it's not a priority, and that's okay. But just be honest with yourself, just be like, okay, cool, that's not a priority for me. But if it is, it's just about making the time for yourself, really honoring yourself. And some of the great things that you can do, and Jess and I spoke about this in the last Health Talks episode, is we do a lot of affirmations. And it might, be really, really weird at the start when you're first doing it. But even just doing some affirmations like I love and accept myself, I love and accept myself, even something like that, as soon as you say that and you stop saying the negative, I'm fat or I have big thighs or, oh my God, look at my cellulite, as soon as you start doing that, it starts to get easier and you start to believe it more, which is awesome.
Now, shifting gears, girls, for a second. Jess, I know that recently you actually jumped out of a plane. You conquered your fears of height recently. So tell us how important it is for a woman to kind of, challenge themselves to do something different, other than their normal routine? How is important that to their psyche, their mind, and their soul?
I think it's really important. I think we become really complacent. We sit inside of our comfort zone and we can just hang out here until we die. I mean, and I was doing that. I really was. I mean, I was really struggling to step outside of my comfort zone until I had this massive life wake-up call. And ever since then, I've just been pushing myself to do these things that I said that I would never do, things like public speaking and jumping out of a plane. And, yeah, even being on camera. I mean, I used to be terrified of these things. But I don't know, I could just see the benefits of pushing myself to do them, and I can tell everybody that it's so worth it, because it's never as bad as you think it's going to be, ever.
Jess, I'd like to ask you about your diagnosis, I guess, and I hope this isn't too personal a question, but, you often hear people sort of look back on that and say, that was actually a bit of a wake-up call for me, almost that it was a blessing in some respects to create change and to change the life and head it in a different direction. How do you look back on that now?
I totally agree. I feel exactly the same way. I mean, I was living a really fun lifestyle back then. I was in my early 20s. I was 22 when I was diagnosed, and I was living a life that revolved around lots of parties, lots of drinking, lots of drugs. I wasn't taking care of myself at all, but I was having so much fun that I wasn't going to give up any of my life without something drastic happening. And I guess my body and the universe knew that, so it gave me something drastic. And I think I'm incredibly lucky that I was diagnosed with cancer at such a young age, because I think without it, I don't know, I would have ran into a lot more troubles. And I don't know, I actually think that having cancer is a blessing, because it's a very, very powerful motivator to look after myself and to put my my health and my happiness first. I mean, I never have the option now of becoming complacent on that, and I really think that's a blessing.
And so just following on from that, Jess, what would your message be to others, I guess, who, whether they're in that situation or whether they, haven't got any health concerns at all? What's your message to those guys and girls out there who think that, my health's not a priority right now and I can always, deal with that later?
I would probably just say that our bodies speak to us in whispers, and we may not recognise it at first, but they do. And if we don't listen to them, they'll start to speak up. If we still don't listen to them, they'll give us a big kick up the backside. And the thing is that you can't ignore that the messages that your body's sending you forever and be exempt from the consequences. Whether you experience something now or in 10 years or in 20 years or in 30 years, you're going to experience some kind of health crisis if you continue to treat your body like crap. I mean, there's no way of getting out of it. And I don't know, I just think that I was 22 when I was diagnosed, and I'm so grateful for that, because I now have the rest of my life to reap the benefits of living a life that can only be rewarded to you when you put your health and happiness first.
And we're trying to cover as many health topics girls will want to know. Matt, what are your opinion on beauty and health? Like, how do that relates to you?
Well, I think it's certainly a reflection of the inside out. I have my mother who, if everybody that sees my mother thinks that she's my sister, but the point is she has lived a really, really healthy life. She, she doesn't really drink. She's never smoked. She's never been, she's always had such a clean routine, and I think that shows. And so I just don't think that we have that same level of care and honour for our body anymore. We kind of abuse it a little bit. So I really do think it definitely is something that comes from the inside to begin with. And, if you haven't slept enough or if you've been eating poorly, you can see it. You look tired. The whites of your eyes aren't white anymore. Your skin's dull, and you can just tell. So there has to be, you can put all the face cream on in the world, but it's not going to change anything.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because a lot of girls do whack on a truckload of cream and stuff on their face, and because
someone needs to say it's just not working for you. It's just not working.
It's such a tough thing, because they come in with all this stuff on their face, and you think, oh my gosh, that just can't be good for your body. But there's almost this disconnect. People don't realise that the stuff you put on your face actually ends up inside your body, not only just on top of your body. And there's a massive disconnect. And I reckon that causes a lot of health issues too. Some of my family members have actually had breast cancer. And this seems to be one of those things that, obviously it affects girls, but it seems to be becoming more and more prevalent. And surely you girls have got some kind of take on that as well.
Breast cancer is a huge one. There are so many reasons why breast cancer is so prevalent at the moment, and Nat is a really good person to go to on that topic because it all has to do with hormones a lot of the time. And it's the toxins that are in our environment, the toxins that are in our food, the toxins that are in our cosmetics. Because like you said, everything that we put in our skin ends up in our body because our skin is our largest organ. So we're living in these toxic environments, but we're not detoxifying our bodies. So we're also voluntarily pouring things in like alcohol and drugs and bad foods. And this toxic overload is just kind of manifesting itself as cancer. And breast cancer is a huge one. I also need to say, though, that with the new research into epigenetics, especially now that we've just gone through October and the pink month, and everybody's sort of promoting mastectomies and all of this horrendous stuff that is so unnecessary. And women kind of think it's a badge of honor and like something that's really courageous to go and get their boobs cut off just because they have these breast cancer genes. And I think we really need to get it out there that just because you have that gene doesn't mean that you're going to have breast cancer. We can control our genes by controlling our lifestyle.
Changing the environment.
As long as we're willing to be empowered and take responsibility. So that's a topic that really, really grinds my gears because I just think it's so sad.
I think one of the main things here is that we've all, thanks for sharing your insight stories with Mel and Jess, your past. Everybody obviously needs to see us as that we're not perfect, right? We didn't get into this just because we were perfect. We actually had a history of our past, and we turned those things in the past, such as cancer, just you did with cancer, and turned them into something that's empowering and also motivating to actually help others. People are going to be flocking to want to know more about you guys. I mean, you got 4 different personalities, and you got great information. Where can they kind of streamline themselves? Where can they go to find out more about you and start watching some of your shows?
Because we're still in the pilot phase, we have a Facebook page that's Health Talks, and also on YouTube, if they search Health Talks TV, they can find us there as well. And then each of our blogs, that is also where you can find us.